Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Monday, May 12th, 2025. Now, before we get rolling, I always like to say thank you and welcome aboard to any new subscribers here to our struggling little weather channel. And if you haven't yet subscribed just yet, what you waiting for, my friend? Please hit that subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you appreciate this update, please leave me a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. It does help with the almighty YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go take a look at the big picture right now as we got a couple areas we're watching. Here for today, we got this low pressure here across the southeast. It's going to finally begin to move up to the north and east here in the coming days. And we have another storm system out here on the west coast. This one's going to start to drive on in. And this one will start to head up here toward the high plains. So we'll have to watch for some active severe weather potentially there a little bit later in the week. Now, that low across the southeast is causing a little pockets of flash flooding here concerns. We got the Virginia, the Carolinas here. You see the green there, and also across Alabama and Georgia, as well as down towards South Florida. Now, we do have red flag warnings. Boy, was it warm up here across the high plains yesterday, well into the 90s, well above normal. And they're going to do it again for today. Thus, the red flag warnings don't need to be burning anything. That's for sure under those conditions. And a little bit windy out here toward the west as well, as we're looking at the tan areas across Nevada, California, and into Arizona. So again, watch out for some windy conditions out in the west. Now, as we look at the surface map here, again, we can see with that low pressure spinning across southeast, basically been hanging out there all weekend long. And eventually this thing's going to slowly start to pull on off here. This west coast system driving with some pretty decent rains here across California and Oregon. We're getting kind of late in the season, be seeing rain out there in the west, and we'll definitely take it as this thing begins to slowly propagate inland here over the next couple of days. All right, let's go look at the rain radar here. Well, let's show you some of these rains here falling down across metro Atlanta for this morning. Again, kind of wrapping around that area of low pressure there. Some pretty good heavier rains, a little bit of thunder in here is near the Dahlonega area near Gainesville. But again, we'll see these on and off rains in this area. And this zone is also under a marginal risk for severe weather here for today. So let's go ahead and break down the severe weather here for this afternoon. Now, here we go looking at your day one outlook here, and you can see the green areas. Got a couple of pockets we're going to watch here. Obviously, Tennessee into South Carolina, into a lot of big part of Florida here, getting underneath this. Up here, up near Montana, up near the North Dakota area, could also see a little bit of severe weather in those two zones as well. Let's go ahead and break down the categorical breakdown. We'll look for the tornado risk here first. Obviously, got a little pocket here. We're going to zoom in a little bit closer here. Again, we're talking Atlanta going over toward areas of Columbia, South Carolina, Charleston, and stretching down toward Jacksonville, anywhere up along the coast here, all the way down to Miami. Could see an isolated weak tornado possibly blow up into this area. What about the wind threat? We'll look at the wind threat here for today. Again, running about 5% in this zone here across the southeast, across Alabama, Tennessee, down toward Florida, and in toward South Dakota. And obviously that little sliver up here toward Montana and into North Dakota. All right, let's look at your day two outlook. Let's see what that looks like as far as the weather is concerned there. We'll look at your day two. And just a general thunderstorm threat here for areas in the west, up the high plains, a big area across the Ohio River Valley in the southeast. Would not shock me if this changes a bit tomorrow and we get a marginal pop up here for day two, but we'll see what the Storm Prediction Center has to say a little bit later today or into tomorrow morning. Now, the day three, we got another pocket here. This will be up here across the high plains. This is the one we got to watch as it heads toward the Midwest, going in toward your day 4 and 5. So again, we're talking about areas up here near Jamestown, North Dakota, Aberdeen, coming down towards Sioux Falls and Omaha. So this is our pocket here for your day 3 for isolated severe weather, mainly strong gusty winds and maybe an isolated tornado possible going for that area as well. Now let's talk about day 4 and 5. Again, that system that's up in the high plains is going to be moving off toward the east, and we're going to talk about that. Again, there's your day 4 outlook here. Going in toward Thursday. So we're talking about Chicago getting into this, Milwaukee getting over near Detroit, coming back toward Indianapolis, and those are the zones we're going to have to watch in here for that day going into day 4. And then going into day 5, we'll go into day 5 real quick, show you the bullseye there. They're obviously right there across Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri. So that's your day 5 outlook as far as the severe weather. So we're going to have to watch where these pockets kind of set up here, as we're going to have some very warm air building across a big part of the country. So the fuel source, the intense heat, that's definitely going to be there building, especially across the south as we go for the days ahead. Now, obviously, we're dealing with this upper level low. We got those flash flood watches out there. We got a couple of zones we have to watch here as far as our flood outlook is concerned. This is your day 1 here for today. Obviously, you see that slight risk here going from Virginia all the way down here toward Florida. These even a little moderate, little pocket down here across extreme South Florida here for today. Let's go take a look at your day 2. This is going to start to shift a little bit here as we kind of pull back out. You kind of see it there going into the mid-Atlantic there. So we're talking about parts of the Ohio River Valley, the mid-Atlantic, as that low begins to slowly pull away. Things begin to improve there a little bit there going in towards your Tuesday. How about Wednesday? Well, we got a couple of pockets to watch there with mid-Atlantic and now up into the high plains. Obviously, with that next storm system, that one coming off the west coast currently, could set up some heavy rains up here as well with some thunderstorms and, of course, across the mid-Atlantic as we go toward your Wednesday. Day 4, Thursday, well, it's just that pocket up there across the high plains going into North Dakota and into Minnesota. And finally, day 5, we'll shift that down toward the south. We got a little pocket here across areas of Kentucky, Arkansas, and into Alabama and Georgia to watch as we go toward the end of the work week. All right, so let's go ahead and do our model analysis here. We're going to be looking at we're going to look at the short term. We're looking at the North American model here, intermediate model, so you can kind of watch how things are going to progress over the next 84 hours. So obviously we've got the low pressure system here that's beginning to move up here to the north and east. We'll see that begin to improve. We got that storm system here on the west coast that's starting to move in this way. And as we get toward Wednesday, obviously, we'll have to watch this area for severe weather. That'll kind of get fired up here as we go toward Wednesday and Thursday here a little bit later in the week. And then the system on Thursday will be moving into areas there into the Great Lakes and toward Illinois. So we'll have to watch that closely going into Thursday and Friday as that system begins to move off toward the east. Now, the rainfall totals with this thing, we'll go ahead and talk about that here. Again, very high across the southeast. We're going to continue that very wet pattern out there. Look at some of these totals here across the Carolinas. They're getting upwards of 2.5 inches. I see a 4 inch in there as well. Going into Virginia, 3 inches. So we got some pretty good heavy rains here. And we got some heavy rains here up across the high plains with some of those thunderstorms showing 2 inches there. Some decent rain out here showing to California. I mean, we're seeing some pockets here, over 1 inch here across Oregon and the Intermountain regions. So, typically we start getting into May, the weather pattern doesn't really get conducive to get rain out toward the west. So it's kind of good to see that going into the middle of the month to see some rain continuing in those areas. We can go and zoom in a little bit here closer. Again, I wanted to highlight some of these heavier rain amounts here across portions of the Appalachians here. 6 inches bullseye there across portions of North Carolina and South Carolina, up near 4 inches there. Northeast Georgia showing 3.5 inches of rain there as well with some heavy rains. And down here toward Florida, some pretty good, decent rains here across central Florida, over 4 inches. And again, this area has been inundated with drought conditions, so that's a big plus to see them getting some additional rain there. All right, so let's go talk about the overall weather pattern. Again, we're talking about the fact that things are very hot. That's the big thing here. As we're progressing deeper into May, we're going to have to now worry about the thing called instability. That's heat to feed these thunderstorms. And one of the stories we're going to have to deal with this week is the heat. Not only the heat wave they've had over the weekend up here across the high plains, which is going to continue here for today across the Dakotas, but also down here across Texas as well. They're going to see some building heat, some 100+ degree heat, and the feel-like temperatures are going to be well into the triple digits here in the days ahead. So we're going to watch a little timestamp there as I kind of take you through. This is your Monday. Let's go into your Tuesday afternoon here. We'll look at your difference there again as we go in towards your Tuesday, and definitely looking at your building heat. Look at it. We got some 100 degree temperatures down here on the upper 90s. We're still looking at 90s up here across areas of the Dakotas as well. So very warm up there as that little cool blast there kind of progresses there going into Tuesday, Wednesday. You got that cool air kind of going into that warm air. That's going to set up those thunderstorms there going into Wednesday and Thursday of this current week. Now going in toward Wednesday, that heat really starts to build here across Texas. Notice by 5 o'clock, we got a lot of 100 degree temperatures lighting up here, like for example, near San Antonio and Austin in above 100 degrees plus 100 to 102. That means those feel-like temperatures when you add the humidity are going to be like up above 110. So very, very hot indeed. We start beating back the heat a little bit here across the high plains. We're definitely seeing the heat build up here across the southeast. The point here is that we get temperatures well into the 80s. When we get these weak boundaries that kind of bump into these warmer air masses, it's very easy to fire up those thunderstorms. And now, are they going to be like tornadic ones? Probably not as widespread there. There might be some isolated pockets ones, especially where the jet stream is a little bit closer. But you're going to get these pockets of very intense thunderstorms, possibility of hail, strong gusty winds. That's going to be the big thing we're going to watch here for this upcoming week. So I want to kind of illustrate this by looking at the 500 millibar European model. I'm going to take this out to its entire duration here. And what we're looking where the weaknesses are. You see those blue areas there? That's your storm tracks. Whenever you see the oranges, that's kind of your high pressure zone. So where they kind of bump into each other, that's when we kind of see those thunderstorms kind of flare up. You kind of see these disturbances as they kind of ride on out of the west and then move on, progress to the east. And as they do so, they're taking that threat with severe weather with them. Obviously, we're watching this big one here that's going to be coming in here toward this upcoming week. We have to watch as it progresses across the Great Lakes. That's the other one. And then there's another one back behind there. Another thing I'm noticing here across the southeast is, as we go through time, is a lot of this high pressure setting up here. It looks like drought conditions may return back to Florida after the welcome rains they've received, because it looks like some pretty good ridging here across the south. We're also going to see the heat kind of build up in here toward the 20th with this big ridging taking place here across the south. So you can kind of see that high pressure there that's going to start kind of forming as this low begins to pull on out. We're going to be building in high pressure here across the southeast here and keep things kind of warm and kind of hot for the southeast. But cooler up toward the north, a pretty active storm track there. And we'll look at your climate outlook here in a second. That kind of illustrates the fact that with that active storm track to the north, that's where the cooler temperature is going to be. It'll be hotter here down toward the south. So let's look at your European model here for the next days 3 through 7. So we're looking at the little pockets of where the severe weather is going to kind of be setting up here. And I'll go ahead and stop this here in a second. But obviously, we're looking at these scattered storms here across where those boundaries are kind of bumping into each other there and where the storms are going to kind of set up here. So let me go ahead and stop this. We'll go ahead and freeze this for a little bit. We'll back this up here again, going from this current week here. So as that low pulls on out, there's that severe pocket there across the north going into Thursday. We'll have to watch for that severe weather here, kind of a little pocket right into here. We have to watch going into your Thursday, and this will move off toward the east. You see kind of going into areas of the Great Lakes into Ohio, and then we'll have to watch going into a Friday. You see these thunderstorms here kind of flaring up into this boundary zone right there. Again, we had that heavy rain pocket there across Arkansas to watch a little bit later in the week going in toward Friday, so we have to watch those as well into your Friday. And then you see that going into Saturday morning. That's some pretty good thunderstorms there that flare up overnight Friday night into Saturday, Kentucky, into areas of Mississippi, northern Alabama. Some pretty good heavy thunderstorms there. That's going in toward the 16th and 17th of the month. And that pushes off toward the east. And then we'll kind of see how things go into the weekend. Going into Sunday, you've seen a few storms out here in the plains. And again, you saw how warm it's going to be. So anywhere we get these thunderstorms, especially where the warmer weather is going to be, we're going to blow up potential severe weather with any of these storms as they progress off toward from west to east. And where those storm tracks are, again, you got that next storm track there tracking off again. We got another piece of energy here coming out of the Rockies once again, and we'll see more severe weather here going out toward Monday. So again, just focusing on the next 7 days. Beyond 7 days is a little bit of extrapolation. You're kind of guessing at that point. But what I'm seeing here from day 3 to 7 is a little more active pattern here with these disturbances rolling out, and we're going to have days where we're going to have to watch pockets of severe weather each one of those days. Now look at your rainfall totals out here for the next 7 days. Obviously, this takes into account the upper low that's pulling on out and what's going to be coming with this active storm track. I mean, pretty healthy rainfall totals there out here in the west. I'm pretty impressed. Very nice to see that out there. Again, we got a pocket of some very heavy rains up here across up to the plains and it's North Dakota, South Dakota into Minnesota there, seeing upwards of 2 to 3 inches into that zone. And obviously here across the mid-Atlantic with that slow moving system out here, we'll see pockets in here obviously looking about 2 to 3 inches as well into that zone, and even into the northeast seeing 1 to 2 inches up there as well with some of those thunderstorms moving up that way. So looks like the only dry place is going to stay down here into the west. Got to watch out. Not going to see a whole lot of rain here. And Texas is probably looking at more of a heat wave building up there again with those triple digits, and those feel-like temperatures are going to be very, very hot for this week. The AC is going to be cranking up big time. Looks like somebody just flipped the switch, and now we're talking summertime temperatures. All right, so look at your latest climate outlook here. Kind of wrap this thing up again. You're looking at what we've been seeing here. You saw that active track here. So as we go ahead and take a look at that pattern here, as we just saw, again, you had that active weather pattern where we get these storm systems doing like this. So we got the below temperatures here across the north here, and this is going from your day 6 through 10. So we're talking about the 17th to the 21st with that active pattern. And then we go to the 14th, still kind of holding that true here, where it's cooler to the north and warmer to the south. And where we see the interaction between those systems right in here, that's what we'll have to watch and see where the severe weather is going to set up here. As far as the precipitation outlook is concerned, here's your 6 to 10. Again, very active here. Again, seeing a lot of green on that map. So it tells me any particular one of these days going out from the 17th to the 21st will have opportunities to see individual severe thunderstorms. Not saying everybody that's in the green is going to see severe weather. It just means a higher than probability of seeing some rain in your area. And again, anywhere down to the south where that warmer, hotter air is going to be, that's where you're going to run the risk for seeing some isolated severe thunderstorms there. And that'll continue there across days 8 through 14. This is going from the 19th to the 25th, kind of lighting up a little bit of a bullseye here across Illinois and back into Arkansas and toward Tennessee. So we'll have to watch that. Although it looks like it starts to dry out here a little bit here on the west coast here as we go from the 19th to the 25th. Things begin to change a little bit out there. All right, so again, folks, we're kind of getting that time of year. We're getting deeper and deeper in the month of May. We got plenty of instability. We got more heat to build in. We're talking a little bit of heat wave action going on. We got severe thunderstorms we have to watch daily, and we have to see exactly where the storm track sets up there, where the jet stream is going to be placed is going to be where the interaction takes place, where the tornado risk will be the highest, mostly kind of shifting more now toward the plain states in the higher plains as we kind of get deeper and deeper into the spring. That's what typically happens as the storm track begins to shift further and further to the north. Again, I appreciate you guys checking out the channel here. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please help our struggling little channel. We can use all the help we can get. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, if you have a weather-related question in your part of the country, maybe you got an event coming up or something like that, again, just kind of post the question down below. I'm more than happy to answer you guys' questions. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next update. Until then, y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.